My name's Ed Stanfield, and I'm a Master Chief Aviation Anti-Submarine Warfare Operator. Of all that time, we were in the Philippines at the time that they were scrapping between Taiwan, where the Chinese nationalists had ended up, and mainland China. And they called it the Quemoy Matsu Island Crisis. There were two islands right off the coast of China the Chinese nationalists still had, that China wanted them, and they were doing a lot of scrapping there. So we flew up to a group of islands called the Pescadores Islands and anchored out in the bay there and flew patrols out of there. Actually slept on the plane, and had a seaplane tender there which brought meals out to us, but slept in sleeping bags on the plane, and it was pretty rusty sleeping. Well, at that time it was, you had the Iron Curtain in place, and of course the Chinese were, there was a Cold War going on with them too. So in that area, that was it. Even though we occasionally flew to we made one flight to Borneo once, which I thought was pretty interesting, and we were supposed to have a typhoon flyaway to Singapore, but we never made it. But even cruising around the islands, probably one of our favorite flights in the Philippines, we went to the island down to the island of Cebu, which is in the 7,000 islands in the Philippines, and Cebu was in the middle. And they had never had an American military visit since the end of World War II. So we were welcomed with open arms down there, and they were great. Had a seaplane tender down there taking care of us. We hosted our own outboard motorboat up into one of the bomb bays, and we used that for transportation going in, and the guys on the seaplane tender were amazed that we brought our own boat. But we took that into Cebu City, and they treated us great there. And coming back, we decided, rather than wait on the boat, that we'd get somebody to paddle us back out to the plane in a baka boat, which is like a dugout canoe. And we got back to the plane around midnight, really startled. We had to keep 3 people on the plane at all times when it was anchored out there. And we pretty well startled the crew when they didn't hear us coming up, and we got on board out of this dugout canoe. So that was one of the fun times. But that time the accident rate was pretty high. We lost a lot of seaplanes. It seemed like back in the States we lost 2 planes, one of which I was supposed to be on, and flew back to the East Coast, and they didn't have room for me. And I'd be darned if the engine catch fire taking off out of Corpus Christi, Texas. And they lost all but one man that was able to bail out. So I was very fortunate wasn't in that. Had one engine fire on takeoff out of San Diego, and sitting in the radar seat on the left-hand side, I saw fire and chunks of metal falling off the engine. And our flight engineer at that time called a plane captain instead of flight engineer, and I pecked him on the tail end, and I says, "This doesn't look quite right to me." He came back and said, "Oh my," I think something like, "Oh my God," and we declared an emergency, came around and landed, and everything worked out all right. So we had a couple little thrills like that back in those days.